चराचरम् नान्दोऽस्ति मम दिव्यानां विभूतीनां परन्तप विभूतेर्विस्तरो मया यद्यद्विभूतिमत्सर्वम् श्रीमदूर्जितमेव वा तत्तदेवावगच्छत्वम् मम तेजोंशसम्भवम् अथवा बहुनैतेन किं ज्ञातेन तवार्जुन विष्टभ्याममिदं कृष्णम् एकान्तेन स्थितो जगत् ॐ तत्सदिति श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासु उपनिषत्सु ब्रह्मविद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्णार्जुनसंवादे विभूतियोगो नाम दशमोऽध्यायः। सर्वधर्मान् परित्यज्य मामेकं शरणं व्रज अहं त्वा सर्वपापेभ्यः मोक्षयिष्यामि मा शुचः। Chris. सहनौनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। अखण्डमण्डलाकारं व्याप्तं येन चराचरम् तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। स्थावरं जङ्गमं व्याप्तं यत्किञ्चिन्मयं व्याप्य यत्सर्वं त्रैलोक्यं सचराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणि। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्र रुद्रमरुतः स्तुवन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो यस्यान्तं न विदुसुरासुरगणा देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः
House 3. Yep. Together.
अमृतं चैव मृत्युश्च सरसश्चामर्जुन देवेद्या मां सोमपापूत्रपापाः यज्ञे दृष्ट्वा सर्वतिं प्रार्थयन्ते ते पुण्यमासाद्य सुरेन्द्रलोकम् आश्रन्ति दिव्यान्ति विदेवोगान् एतं भूत्वा सर्गलोकं विशालम् क्षीणे पुण्ये मध्यलोकं विशन्ति एवं त्रयी धर्ममनुप्रपन्नाः तथागतं कामकामा लभन्ते.
House 2. Have introduced the Karma Yoga, but slightly different way it is introduced in your Karma Yoga. Context of the Vedic ritual. So, Lord Krishna here says the knowers of the three Vedas, the drinkers of the Soma, apart from worshipping, sacrificing, sacrifices, pray for their way to heaven. They reach the holy world of the Lord. Joy in heaven. So, what it means that they worshipping me by sacrifices. So that is the practice which they are doing, and they are doing it by in what sense? They're doing it because they are the knowers of the three Vedas, the drinkers of Soma, purified. Pray for way to heaven. This is what we achieve. So it gives us not only the context and the basis on which this sacrifices are, but also the outcome of what practitioners are actually looking for. So what are they looking for? They are looking for a way to heaven, reach the holy world of the Lord, and enjoy in heaven and the divine pleasures of the Lord. So that's number 21. Then what happens after that? They have enjoyed whatever they needed to enjoy. Is they having enjoyed the vast world and world, when their merits are exhausted, enter the world of the mortals. This thus abiding by the Vedas, abiding, going and so what is happening? In a sense that we are having a group of people who are carrying out this karma portion of whereby they are carrying out all this different ritual and for a specific purpose. What do they want? They want to reach the heavens and enjoy the pleasures. And then what happens? This merits are finished. They come back into the world of the world. This is going and returning, called samsara. In other words, that they don't belong to the category of people who have no relationship with God. These are the unbelievers. So the unbelievers, them on one side, complete believers on the other side, the people who are believing in in God, but they are doing these rituals and sacrifices in relation to God to achieve something beyond this world. So when we say your desires for the seen and the unseen, earlier it was talking about, when we have lost all our interest in the things which are seen and things which are not seen. What does it mean? That what we perceive through the senses and we see the world of objects in front of us, say to ourselves, I desire this object, I desire this person, I desire this, I desire this particular situation. That desire is actually perceived through the senses. There's also another category of things which we don't see. Okay? We believe in something called heaven, believe in all these lokas which are there, and say to ourselves, actually, I don't want anything of the world. I want something which is beyond the world, which I can't see at the moment. I will try to get it by which are in the. So, what are they looking for? I was saying last time, we look for pleasures here. Say, okay, I'm going to enjoy this, I'm going to enjoy this. Through this fulfillment of this desire, I will achieve this pleasure and another pleasure. So, what we are doing to go to heaven is simply scaling up the whole thing. So, here we may get 10 desires. The belief is that if I go to heaven, then that will be multiplied 1,000-fold. Still, vision is still the same, that I am desiring something, I want pleasure out of it, and if I don't get the pleasure in this world, I will try to attain it in another world, and desiring that in the other world, it will be much more pleasure. At the end, all I'm looking for. So there's no point in going to heaven. So what Lord Krishna is saying here, these people who are actually doing all these Vedic sacrifices because they believe in the Vedas, they are the knowers of them. They're doing it for the same things which we do in our life, but they're looking for something beyond this world and looking for much greater pleasure than what we would get in this. So, if they are the knower of the Vedas, is that they know how to do the rituals. That's all it means. The knowers of the Vedas. So, like here, we say that the those who are well read in the three Vedas, who know the prescriptions laid down for the rituals, perform these sacred acts of devotion and sacrifice with a desire to enjoy the celestial bliss. Those they're referring to the Vedas. Knower of the Veda means what? They are the knowers of the rituals. Yeah. So they know the rituals, know all the Vedas. Then it will be something different. So they are the knowers of the Vedas, and he says the drinkers of Soma. So once the ritual is finished, in other words, they are only interested in what the ritual is going to bring them. The objective is different, but they are using the ritual to get something which is beyond this world. They want to attain the heavens, enjoy the pleasures of heaven. So, yeah, I mean, it's talking about divine pleasures of the gods. So, here he's talking about Surendra Lokam. Surendra Lokam is the world of the lords of the gods. And therefore, like heavenly spheres. In other words, the heavenly worlds in which you can enjoy this kind of pleasure. He's not talking about Brahmaloka. Brahmaloka he was talking about in the last chapter. That is a slightly different thing in the earning merits to actually get themselves spiritual. Whereas these people are looking for pleasures in the heavens. There's a difference. So, when we're talking about the Krama Mukti in the last, whereby you say, okay, to actually focus on your spirituality so much, but you are not able to get liberation whilst you're alive, that when you pass away, you go to Brahmaloka because your mind has become to the Brahmaloka. From there, you can then get realized. Whereas these people doing the rituals to attain something or to get, what you say, purified from sin, it means that they are not actually looking for liberation, but they're looking for. So the goal is different. And what does it mean? Purified of sin is that the extent to the me and the mind has less and less and less in. They have become purified enough for them to be lifted up to that, but not beyond them. And also that once those merits are finished, they come back again. So do the ritual and the sacrifice and attain the heaven, enjoy the pleasure. Once the bank balance has run out, they come back again. They start all over again, going back and going and coming. So that's right. So the idea is that every concept. So when I do a ritual with focused mind, it will have. In this case, the consequence is, on the one hand, related to me purifying the mind. But the mind is not purified enough for it to go beyond the pleasure and the. So, on the one hand, results in some kind of purified sin. And then on the other hand, got the consequence of a, a merit. In other words, that merit is going to give you good result. So whatever good we do in this life will accumulate as good merits, which will then help next life or the world beyond. Now, once those merits are used up, in other words, that when you go to heaven, there is no chance of accumulating even more merits because only on the heavenly plane, on the worldly plane, that you get consequences of your action. When one goes to heaven, even if you do anything, it does not have any consequence. So what you are left with is that when you go to heaven, you got a bundle of merits which are used up because you're not creating anything new. Used up by you enjoying the pleasure.
Pleasures.
Yes. So suppose I enjoy all the pleasure.
Right.
So merits are running out.
Like
Because-
hiring.
Huh?
So it's basically
That's right,
enjoying
yeah.
the pleasure
Rental
or trying to enjoy the material.
That's
Heaven
right.
as
So,
well.
so you enjoy the material pleasure in heaven, whereas here, if you enjoy the material pleasure, you get more consequences. Right? In heaven, you don't create more, but you're just. So, in other words, here, imagine that you've got a bank account. You're earning money and then you're depositing. Right? So, earning is going on, depositing is going on, and also using the deposit to get what you want. In heaven, what happens that there is no earning capacity. So you only got a deposit.
So you can stay in heaven provided you stay pure and don't go to it.
Yeah. So the other option is what? The other option is that I'm not interested in the pleasure. I'm not interested in getting more pleasure in the heavenly world. I'm interested in knowing my true self and attaining liberation. Now that is a completely different objective than the objective which is this for this. So the objective of these people, I want to enjoy more. The objective of the other, the yogis and the jnanis, is that they want to attain liberation because through knowledge of the self, They want to attain liberation. They're not interested again going back and forth. Even if you tell them, I will give you, you know, pleasures which are a billion fold more when I go to heaven, when you go to heaven. They say, no, I don't want it. All I want is once that particular objective comes into your mind, then you're only interested in liberation. Therefore, even if you get pleasures, even if you go to the heavenly world, I don't want this. I want to go back and start my sadhana again so that I can get liberated. So that is the big difference. These two kinds of so so they are the knowers of the Vedas, the three Vedas. In of course, all the three Vedas have got kind of different rituals, which give some kind of result in terms of the purification of sin, and also in terms of uh, the goal which is attained is the way to heaven, and to uh, enjoy the divine pleasures. But once the merits are run out, then of course one comes back. Now you remember that, yeah, that chapter number 2, Lord Krishna was again saying that this kind of Vedic ritualism is not to be pursued because it will only lead to a limited result. You will not get liberation out of this kind of ritualism. So this again can put it in a broader context of Uttar Mimamsa and Purva Mimamsa. The Purva Mimamsa, Uttar Mimamsa are Purva Mimamsa about the ritualism and argument against all this kind of ritualism. It only attains heavens, but then you come back. Whereas here, what we are looking for, not the Vedic ritualism, but the Vedantic ritualism. So, what is that Vedantic ritual? It is about control of the senses, control of the mind, control of the intellect, and through that control, samadama, uparati, titikta, shraddha, samadhan, all these methods are seen as Vedantic rituals which will be daily basis, and that will result in so it becomes a much more internal process rather than an external ritual. So external rituals are good because they lead to some amount of purification. But what is required, according to this tradition following, that the internal purification lead to recognition of self and establishing oneself in that self. That is what is required. Without that, without the knowledge of the self, there is no liberation. You can know the heavens, you can know the Vedas, you can know everything, but if you don't know the self, there is no liberation. So what is required is the knowledge of the. This is what reading about. Is that yes, on the one hand about karma yoga, the other hand is about this kind of ritualism. The other hand is jnani and the yogi who want in the highest state of establishing oneself self and to attain liberty. So if all these people are looking for something, they're looking for some different because one is looking for pleasure, the other one is looking for liberation. Sideways. So um, yeah, yeah. So Atharva Veda has been left out. That Atharva Veda is a application of the other three extensions. So for example, all how to treat the body or weapons of war, all this applied technology that could here we are talking and so these are different it because it does not. So now this is what we call superficial spirituality. Superficial, why? Because it is only looking at extending our pleasure, extending the time we can enjoy the pleasure. There is no difference between heavenly world and the earthly world. Only thing is that it has been scaled up to a different level. So in a sense, we can say this is not spirituality because it is related to recognizing your true self and establishing. So it's karma marga, but because the true karma marga, the true karma yoga is what? True karma yoga is first of all uh, uh, giving up the fruit of the action, and giving up the action that becomes that is a higher level of spiritual practice than performing the also kind of karma rituals, but they are external rituals, whereas the other ones are more of an internal adjustment, tuning up. So this is the karma mark. Now is really now here's one royal secret. Yeah, you remember even opening verse, he was telling Arjuna, I'm going to take you the jnana and the vijnana. In other words, the knowledge and the wisdom, the intellectual knowledge as well as the experiential knowledge. So now he has talked to us about the um, path of knowledge, whereby he told us a lot of things how we can, through the intellect, connect with with God and ultimately do the things of. In other words, in our transactional life, there is no excuse to say I can't see God and connect with, because He's given us a whole list of things. I am the ritual, I'm your father, mother, and the goal and the God. I control rain and so on. In other words, whenever I perceive anything in the outside world, can be connected with God, can be connected with my spiritual path and spiritual growth, and it can be connected with my spiritual evolution. Why? Because I begin to see God everywhere. So it's not about okay, I only see God when I go to the temple. What he's saying is that God should be present and in our consciousness all the time. How to bring God in each and every perception, each and every thought, each and every transaction in our life. That is the ideal condition. Okay, everything is. So, for example, when I see the rain or when I feel the heat, I can see the expression of the rain falling. When I see the people around me, I say these are the mano, they were the expressions of God.
How to deal with it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so those are also expressions of God. But what happens is the expression of God is not the same thing as God. So God is there. In other words, electricity is functioning in all the rooms, in all the appliances. Yes. Some of it will give heat, and some appliances will give. So the refrigerator is different from the heater. But what is driving all of them is electricity. In other words, that all this thing, all the people in the whole planet are being driven by Whereas each and every has got a different condition which will express that same electricity, although it's this. So what he says is that as was that kind of expression, there is less and less divinity which is. So what he says that I the desire. So every person desire, yes, but that desire which is unopposed to dharma is divine expression. A desire which is opposed to dharma is no longer a divine expression. God is very difficult to see in that. God is very difficult to see those people who are expressing dharma, expressing desire which is opposed to that. Otherwise, people who are destroying, who are blowing things up, divinity. But when you see a master whose very expression is but dharma itself shining through. Huh?
Yeah, I was going to say it's up to us.
Discriminate.
It is up to us to
Oh
discriminate.
no, isn't it us or the adult?
No, no.
Because
So
a distracted
both
guy
ways. So both of you are saying slightly different things. So what you are saying is that it is up to us to perceive the divinity in the others, whereas what you are saying is that it is up to us to switch on the divinity within ourselves.
But you'll always be.
Sorry?
Otherwise, you'll always be.
Otherwise, you'll be always opposed to dharmas. In other words, what is saying here, as long as I follow the path of dharma, there is certainty that that divinity will start expressing in my life. Others will begin to see it as well, right?
Fully with it.
Huh?
Fully
So the bully is not a divine expression, right? Because it's opposed to dharma. But still, what is animating the bully is the same force animating the saint. The saint and the sinner are being animated by the same thing, but the expression of divinity is completely different. So in other words, I can't say why is this fridge giving me this kind of coldness, whereas the heater is giving me so much heat. Because the apply each one of us is different in terms of past conditioning. According to that past conditioning, the impurity of that particular mind will determine how much divinity is being expressed. If it's moving towards purity of the mind, then more divine expression. Being, if it turns towards impurity, that means that divinity is expressing it. But what we have to remember is that everything in this whole universe is being animated by that ultimate.
Like the word
Yeah.
divine.
So that is why I was saying that the 7 types of people in this, three of them you have to rule them out. The people who don't believe in God, lowest of low, people who good or bad, moral, and completely dark way. They have no. There are 4 types of devotees who acknowledge the existence of God. The other 3 don't even acknowledge the existence. So the one who is saying, actually, I want to get something out of my life, out of this transactional world, I'm going to pray to God to give that to me. That's one relationship with God. Another one is I want to lose suffering, to remove my suffering. So he then or she prays to God to remove that suffering. Then there is the jignasu, interested in knowing about God. Then the highest jnani who is well connected, got different shades of people, and each will act according to their own spiritual stage. So the karma kandis, these people having have reached a certain level why they acknowledge the existence of God, but they are relating to God to achieve something which they want in this life or life beyond. That's all they're interested in. They're not interested or going beyond that. So uh, here we have to kind of, how does it relate to us anyway? So, we have to be careful that we don't follow this particular ritualism whereby we keep doing this, all these different rituals and thinking, oh, I'm going to get something for Krishna. That's fair enough. You will get the result of all these things, but you will still have to come back. You really want to escape this cycle of birth and death and not go beyond. So, telling us that, yeah, this is another pathway, but it will bring you back again and again to the mortal world. You have to then start all over again. For this to earn the merits, you go up, and then you come back again. Okay, so then next one in two, right up to the end of this particular chapter, from 24, is describing to us the bhakti marga. Is now the path of devotion. Is setting out the path of devotion, and which next give us more detail about this. So 22 to 34, bhakti marga. One we have the karma kandis who are before that he was telling us jnanis who every transaction into perceive God and to relate to God. Here he is now. So what he says here, what about those men who worship the eternal with desireless love as a substratum for the entire universe? So you now see how the vision has changed. The vision of the karmakandis doing the rituals was different. They want to attain to the heaven, whereas here the men worship with desireless love. They don't have any desire. The previous one were having many desires, having the desire to enjoy all this pleasure. There's this, they don't have any desire. They only have the love which is desireless. And he says the eternal is worshipped as the substratum of the infinite. So let's now. This is quite a well-known verse in the Bhagavad Gita, and it is quoted many times and quoted in the wrong context as well. Try to understand what.
अनन्या चिन्तयन्तो माम् ये जना पर्युपासते तेषां नित्याभियुक्तानां योगक्षेमं वहाम्यहम् अनन्याश्चिन्तयन्तो माम् ये जना पर्युपासते तेषां नित्याभियुक्तानां योगक्षेमं वहाम्यहम्.
So those men know of no other knows a secure form than that already yoga serve for them what they. So he's telling us that there will be a certain group of people who will do what? Worship alone. Ananya, this Ananya Bhakti. There is given that, and he says that those men worship alone, without others, is thinking alone, no other, and ever self-control. Ever self-control, and these are the I secure for them that which is already possessed, reserve for them what they. So if you see that for life, what are we saying? Everybody's trying. We are trying to get things which we don't have, and we are trying to protect the things which we have. So if I say, I have this amount of wealth, and I have now acquired it through all this hard work and so on and so on, I want to preserve that wealth. So having acquired here that I have to preserve what I have acquired because I was desirous of all these things. I wanted in the first place, but having got it, I have to preserve not anything. So even if we say, okay, now I have now got married, now I got married for a husband, and that relationship now I have to preserve it and maintain it and to sustain it because it is something desirous of, and having attained it, I want to know that. So and think about all the material things. Okay, I was desirous having a car. I've now got the car. I have to look after the car. I have to preserve it. I have to go and do the servicing. It's preserved in the original as much as so our own bodies. What is well, I have to preserve this body to a large extent, try and as young as possible. But when they so acquiring and preserving, acquiring and there's not doing here, and I'll take care of saying, saying, worship me alone, don't think of any other thing, and the self-control. I will say that you do so. So now this could be looked in way, or it could be the other way. So what saying here, in fact, this verse gives you the secret of sin. This verse giving us the secret of sin. In order to be successful at anything. So starting with this idea that there's the philosophy and there's the practice. Without the practice, philosophy is just philosophizing, intellectual knowledge. And practice without understanding the philosophy becomes ritualism. What we need to do is to have both of them balanced in a way that our practices are based on a consistent and coherent philosophy. Now, this applies to anything. I don't want to do random things that are disconnected from all these things. One must have a vision of life which guides all your actions. One must have a set of values that are your guiding principles. And if you understand those principles, then your practices become So, for example, if in terms of car, now if I don't understand how a car works, I don't understand how the car is working, I'm actually using the car, I may do something which is going against how this car. So when I get a new equipment, I have to read the manual so that I understand the principle is used. And once I understand, so then I can begin to use the machine. Because now you start using a very complicated machine. Looking at the manual, what's going to destroy the thing is religion. We understand the philosophy, have the knowledge of people, and then we begin to and related idea of no, he says that here is a stanza with discloses a secret by which glorious success can be assured for the spiritual and the material secret. So, if you want to attain your spiritual goal, think of what this verse is. If you want to achieve something in the material world, the same principle again. Now, before we go to that, he says, Ananya, here the term Ananya is available for more than one interpretation. Says, on the one hand, it can mean non separate, not other than me. In other words, we are looking at the self which is no different from any other self and which is the same as the ultimate. So I can say that worshipping me alone, that talking is self. Or on the other hand, it says, Ananya means without any other. In this case, he is referring to the mind, whereby the mind becomes single pointed mind because you're not thinking of anything else, you're thinking of only of the. And he's also shown us how this can be done in our day to day transaction life as well. That you're always thinking of God. Everything is in relationship to God rather than everything is in relationship to the ego. So egocentrism becomes God centrism because everything is through eyes of God, which is ways of. One is that we're talking about a very high form of connection, reality with self, or one can say it is about the control of the mind, is coming. Now, why is that important? Because I bring yoga and Shema more and more spiritual vigor, yoga, and the final experience of gratitude lead to liberation. So Krishna promises here, and ever self-control, again, very important to remember here, because without self-control, self-control control of the senses, control of the mind, control of the intellect, control of your choices, control of everything, all your actions as well. So when you make a choice, that choice has to be controlled in the intellect is being controlled so that you make senses are being controlled because you control the sense, direct the sense, right direct, control the mind, right direct. Was that you have understood the goal very clearly, and all the senses, all the mind and the intellect are going in that particular direction, nowhere else. So here, self-control, I bring more and more spiritual vigor. And is my attitude to have. So what what is the end of that? He says liberation resulting yoga fulfilled. So on the one hand, you can think about acquiring and preserving yoga and dharma. On the other hand, you can think of yoga and dharma as practice and the result of practice. So yoga becomes more and more spiritual practice, and dharma eventually. Now, I am practicing this on a daily basis, and I will. I want to attain my spiritual goal, and I practice more and more and more. But Krishna says, "Yes, I will give you that as well." And he says, "You want to attain liberation? I will preserve that particular result of all those practices you're doing, and I will take you to." Now, how do we read this things which he talks about here? So he's talking about three things here. One, uh, discrimination and just discrimination. That's number one. Here he's saying consistency of willing and so self-control. What are the conditions under which yoga and yoga is going to be available? He says number one of willing and number two pouring out ourselves with singleness of purpose in all its entirety. Self-control. These three things are the secrets of success. In other words, if you have these three ingredients, whatever you do, success will be. Uh, Number two, pouring out ourselves with singleness of purpose in situation in all its entirety. Now, situation in all its entirety means that you have kind of looked at the situation in all um, entirety. Otherwise, you left out anything out of it. So you may come across a situation which you are looking at only one part of that situation. You're not looking at the bigger picture. What he said is look at the big and consider each and every element of that situation. Make sure that you understood it. And then he says that pouring out all your energy with the singleness of purpose. So, for example, if you say, okay, my purpose is that I'm going to achieve, this kind of siddhi, right? For you, for example, my asanas or my pranayama, that is my singleness of. I have to take everything into account. When am I going to do it? What is the best time of doing it? Which is the best place of doing it? How is it going to affect everybody else? How is it going to affect my routine? And then I look at the entire situation. And then I devote myself completely in pursuing that and with a singleness of purpose. So, which means what? That I have very clear about my purposes, my goal. I continuously think will according to that purpose. I direct all my energies to going for that goal. There's no this, that, or the entirety. And then I do it how? With through self-control. We of any to bring these three principles that mix things which you're doing is the then once the result is available to you, then I will make sure that. So these are the three things. Very simple way of looking. kitchen, whether you are doing a big project, whether you are doing the other in your life, these three. And with that single pointed, all these things you have to will. So, for example, if consistency in willing means what? Yeah. So, suppose I say I've got this willpower, I'm putting it now. At 1 in the morning, my willpower is very high. In the afternoon, the willpower starts going down. And it goes down and disappears. The will to do. Why? Because consistency of power, which that that engine. So in my car, when I put my foot on the accelerator, right, I leave it there. I don't pull it off again because then if I pull it off, what happens? The car will slow down and will come to the. That pushing power is there all the time, and it is consistent. It is consistent all the time, and the thinking is also consistent. In other words, you don't start doubting work is it, how is it going to work, or what am I going to do? All those uncertainties are gone, the doubts are gone. It's very and the mind is active all the time. The intellect is active all the time and consistently active. It means a lot that you have to pour your whole energy and your whole willpower and your whole self-control into the whole thing. No doubt you're going to get what you want because really going to push it.
You also mentioned health successful.
Exactly. So he says that this is success in life can be your transactional success or it can be your spiritual success. Suppose now I tell you, okay, what is the highest goal of spiritual life? Liberation. How are you going to translate that in your day-to-day life? These three. That you have to spend a lot of energy, consistency of willing and being, and what he's saying, singleness of purpose, not just liberation. And you're going to do that, nothing is going to distract me. Just going to go after that 24/7. That is all in nothing else. Even if there's any transaction done, it will be done in relationship. Imagine how much it will bring you the spiritual goal. It will bring you liberation. Why is this kind of intensity?
Is standing.
Yeah.
Are unique.
Yeah.
If one just try and work towards recognizing that, everything else will follow.
That's right. Everything else.
In life,
Yeah.
everything will follow.
Everything will.
One was to just aspire to that alone.
That's
Get detachment, to
yes.
get have loved for being all those come.
Yeah. So this is why he's saying, I will give you the yoga, I'll give you the prema. Why? Because if you elevate your mind and everything else at highest level, in that highest level, everything is including what is happening in your transactional world as well. Right? So that it doesn't have what it means that if you aim for the highest, all the things automatically start falling into everything which will be provided. Have be taken.
Also, back to they were talking about divinity in
everything.
in bad things as well.
Yeah,
Because you're recognizing him, it has been substratum for
yeah,
everything.
yeah.
One would not surrender and to, because we see one dimension, but the divine will see the whole purpose and see blind animal and think, gosh, that's terrible. But for the divine,
Yeah,
he know that that is science, the Dharma and Bible.
right.
So also a divine action.
So it is a question of the vision I have. I look at the world and perceive the world. I can limit my vision. Okay, this is a bad person and he's doing bad things and so on and so on. But if I lift my vision beyond and say, actually, this is not something happens to me, going to bring the inner kind of balance within the what we look. But when we say that purification is all about bringing that equanimity in the mind, then that equanimity itself will be the basis on which I can. You're saying the substratum of and that is lifting my vision to the highest reality. That everything provided for, everything will be present. So there's a lot more here which I carry on. But whenever we are trying to attempt to do anything in the world, the spiritual are very important in mind because that will eventually bring us. Okay, so let's Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukhabha Bhavet Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha Hari Om